was seeking some relief from all the charges. I was seeking a plea bargain agreement. I was seeking some little edge that I could make everything go down better. I wanted to be lawyer-like. And I was arguing with him about it. And finally, Wade, who was a rather large person, he played, football at Carolina a long time ago, got up from behind his desk, the chair where he was sitting. He came up to where I was sitting in a chair opposite him. And for the longest time, many years, he denied that he did this. I think he finally has admitted that he did. But he hit me. Not hard, didn't hurt. It stunned me. Now, the truth of the matter is, when he hit me, let me just tell you, that was an emotional experience with me. Neither before nor after has anyone ever done that. So that was emotional. I sat back just like this, in my chair, and looked at him and said, "Why did you do that? Why did you do that?" And he said to me, he said, "Jim, you need to wake up. The public is either going to nail you now, or they will nail you later. If you continue to persist in asking for special treatment, you're never going to get well. I don't know what will happen to you, but I don't think it will be good. There is only one way back for you, and that is you have to take it. You have to take the whole shooting match. Colin, the DA, does not want to give you a plea bargain agreement. As your friends and lawyers, we don't think you should ask for one or take one, even if it is eventually offered. We believe that you should go into court and say to the judge that you were there to be sentenced. You were guilty. You did these things. No one else did. You're ready to be punished, and you accept that. And if you do that, Jim, if you do that, you may get your life back, which is what you want. That's hard to hear from a lawyer. I don't care whether you've got, you're guilty or not. I don't care whether you have no choice as to what you may do or not. That's really hard to hear. There are some lawyers who have heard me express these views of this story, who have said that was risky, that was crazy. It may have been. I don't know. There was no guarantee of how it would turn out. There was no guarantee of success, whatever that might mean. So I asked Wade, what do you think will happen with me if I do this? He did not offer me probation. He did not offer me a set term of years that he had thought the judge might do. Rather, he said, I think you will have more riches in your life than you ever thought possible. I want to tell you something. That turned out to be true. I believe deeply that if I had sought an agreement and gotten one, my sentence would have been no less and perhaps more. But more importantly, I would not have been afforded a really good second chance. Once when I was in Judge Dupree's chambers before he passed away in the 1990s, he was sitting in his chair, rocking back and forth. He put his elbows on the table, on his desk, and looked right at me, and I was sitting in this overstuffed chair across from him. He said, "Jim, what is it that you want?" And I said, "Judge, what I want is to one day be able to walk down the streets of Raleigh and hold my head up one more time." He smiled, leaned back in his chair and said, "You can do that. You can come back and you can do that." As a matter of fact, what I think you should do, Jim, is write a book about all this and come back. I did that. I followed his advice, which was my little book, Flame Out, written back in 2000. I don't know that any lawyer has ever said to a client, "I want you to go home and read the Sermon on the Mount." So I asked Wade where it was, and he said, "Well, it's in the Bible." And I said, "Well, Wade, I know it's in the Bible." And he said, "Well, where?" I said, "Where?" He said, "It's in the book of Matthew." It's actually, I think it's the 5th chapter of Matthew in the Bible, in the New Testament. And so I read it. It's very long. It's very difficult to do. It's how to live, quite candidly, a perfect life, really. Buried in that scripture, about halfway through, the last sentence in one verse reads something like this, and of course, please understand, I am paraphrasing it. If someone wants you to walk with them 1 mile, you should walk with them 2 miles. Now, I have to tell you, that sounds really nice and pretty and warm and fuzzy. I want to tell you how difficult that is. But I will also tell you, I think it's true and that it works. There's another sentence in the Sermon on the Mount, equally as good, I think, and again I'm paraphrasing this. And it reads, "Let your yeses be yeses, and your noes be noes." Let your yeses be yeses, and your noes be noes. If I had just simply followed that principle, I wouldn't be teaching CLE like this today. I would be practicing law, and would have done so for the last 22 years. So I want to say to you, follow that advice. Write it down. Read it. Practice it. This is not Pollyanna goody-goody that I'm saying. This is practical, everyday advice that will make you better at what you do. All of these steps that I have mentioned so far are designed to make you better at what you do than you now are. You may not have to do all of them. You may already be doing some of them well. Great. But if you're not, or there's some that you're not, pick up on them. And if you don't like my steps, write your own and try it. It's a good practice. One of the steps that I did not touch on in the first hour, but I want to mention here briefly, is the thought or trait of kindness, of treating people well. What is the most effective way in the courtroom? Would you rather hire a lawyer who is a jerk, no matter how smart, or someone who is kind and gracious? What do you think is the most effective way to cross-examine a witness on the stand and get more out of that witness? What do you think is the most effective way to get the truth from your client when they're meeting in your office? I think it's to be empathetic, to let them know you're on your side, and to treat them with kindness. If I'm on the witness stand and you're cross-examining me, I promise you I will tell you more if you're nice to me than if you're a jerk. Kindness. People do not anticipate or expect lawyers to be kind. They don't. Maybe paralegals either, I don't know. But I know that about lawyers. It will trip everybody up. It will surprise people. They won't know what to do. It will flummox them. You know, the next time you go to the courthouse, be nice and kind to the judge, which of course you will try to do. But be nice and kind to the bailiffs, to the deputy clerks who are in the courtroom, to the district attorney or the lawyer on the other side, to witnesses. Most courtrooms are not large rooms. They are relatively small rooms. Jurors, whether they're waiting to be seated as a possible juror or they're in the jury box already seated, they watch and view how you interact with other people. They are more apt to believe and trust and like you and vote your way, not only when the evidence is your way, which of course it's got to be, but on the idea of whether or not you have some kindness. 2 or 3 years ago, I was doing a program one winter, I think it was winter in Raleigh, and a friend of mine, Rufus Edmiston, former Attorney General, Secretary of State, once ran for governor, was there, and he stood up and he said, "Now Jim won't tell you what I'm going to tell you, but I want to tell all you young people here, what you should do is you should be nice to people. You ought to be kind to people, because if you don't, if you mess up, if you screw up, if you do something wrong, you're not going to have people come help you if you're not that way. You need to be nice for the self-supporting concept that it may come back to help you in the future." And he told the story when he was Attorney General and Secretary of State, when Eliot Spitzer, the former New York governor and Attorney General, got into difficulty in New York and had to resign some years ago. Nobody really came much to his aid, because when he was Attorney General in New York, he was not too terribly nice and gracious and kind to his other attorneys general. Now you compare and contrast that with the former governor of the state of Virginia, who got into some legal difficulty a couple of years ago. He got indicted, he got convicted, but on appeal, a number of other attorney generals are filing amicus curiae briefs on his behalf. Now that's something they don't have. An amicus curiae brief is not something you have to do, it's something you volunteer to do. They want to support him. Maybe they've got a good legal position, I don't know. But I do know that he had a reputation for being gracious and kind, and that has got to have helped him in that. So think about that. The issue of kindness. You are also at your best when you will show a degree of humility and vulnerability. You are at your best when you show just a little bit of a degree of humility and vulnerability. I really will be honest with you and tell you that I learned this working at 42nd Street in the Oyster Bar, when I wore a waiter's uniform with a red wine-colored bow tie. It was a snap-on bow tie, white shirt, suspenders, black pants with a stripe down the side, black shoes, and an apron. I did that every day for some time. Saw everybody I used to see when I wore a suit. Saw people who used to come to my law office. Saw federal and state judges before whom I used to appear. They did not hold my uniform as a waiter against me. What I want to say to you is this. This is the truth. In a funny sort of way, very unique, sometimes hard to understand. People are kind, for the most part. And most people will fall in love with you, so to speak, if you are doing the best you can. And you're doing it honorably, you're trying hard, you own your mistakes, you admit when you've not done perfect things, and you have a degree of humility and vulnerability about you. Oh my goodness. You are at your best when you show that you're somewhat open to everybody else. It's difficult. It's hard. It's not the way we generally think of lawyers, paralegals, and professionals. But I'm telling you, you don't have to go around with sackcloth and ashes. I'm not saying that. You don't have to have a billboard that someone sees on the side of the road saying, I am vulnerable, I am humble, I own my mistakes, I've screwed up, that sort of thing. You don't have to do that. I'm just saying, as a way of life, if you will act this way, it will just simply come back to help you so darn very much. Humility and vulnerability. Really, really great. You know, for me, I had to have a sense of humor. I had to learn to laugh. I had to learn not to take myself quite so seriously. I did that pretty well. That's one of the things I did okay on. I will tell you that during the time that I was doing well and when I was not doing well, I maintained and kept, for the most part, a sense of humor. Now, sometimes it was black humor, I will admit, but I kept humor. I learned to laugh. I was doing a program on mental health for a law firm in Raleigh 3 or 4 years ago. And there were about 20-some lawyers in the firm there. And one of the lawyers, a senior partner, had been ill. And he had a reputation as a very tough, take-no-prisoners lawyer in Raleigh. And right in the middle of my presentation, he raised his hand and he said, you know, Jim's right. We need to laugh more. We need to smile more. I've been sick, and I want to see some funny shows on television. I want to read some humorous stories. If any of you all know of those, I wish you would let me know. There's nothing wrong with laughter. There's nothing wrong with laughter. President Kennedy once used to call and recite an Irish blessing, in which he said there are 3 things in life that are real: God, human folly, and laughter. Since the first 2 are beyond our comprehension, we must do what we can with the 3rd, laughter. Think about that. Develop it if you don't have it. It will make you smile. I was saying this to a group of paralegals not long ago, and one of them said, I wish that you would also tell people that lawyers need to learn how to say the word thank you. Those two words, thank you. Say them, if you're an attorney watching this, to your paralegals regularly, or to your secretary, or to any staff person who does something for you, to the clerk at the courthouse, to the bailiff, to anybody. Say the words thank you. And also learn to say the words you're welcome. Those are also a couple of words. You're welcome. Goes a long way. I put that in right here in this program because that is a specific comment and a specific suggestion that paralegals have made on these programs. That's what their advice is, and they don't hear it often enough. I don't know whether you're stressful right now or not. Probably so. Probably there's something going on in your life or in your career that you haven't done, or something else going right, or you're worried about something. There's some stress in your life. There is in mine, always has been, always probably will be. Do what you can to take the stress out of your life as much as you can. Whatever that happens to be. Do you have a hobby? What do you do on your time off? Do you like to exercise? Do you go to the Y or to the gym? Do you belong to one? Do you run? Do you go for a walk? Do you play a musical instrument? Do you like to cook? Do you like to draw? Do you like photography? Do you like to read? What is it that will let you escape? Take some time off. Take some time off and escape and relax. Go on a vacation. Don't call the office. You know, if you go on vacation, you have to call the office 2 or 3 times a day. That's not good. Or it may mean that you're really important and that you're really busy, but you do that at your peril. And you do that, it doesn't clear your brain. It doesn't clear the cobwebs out of your brain if you're going on vacation and you're sitting at the beach and you have to go back to the house and make phone calls or call on a cell phone. That's not good. Relax. Exercise. Take care of yourself. That will make you refreshed. It will make you better than you are. Don't make tough, harsh decisions at nighttime. Don't send out controversial or combative emails at nighttime. Wait until morning. Wait until you're relaxed. Wait until you're refreshed. Then you might try and do that. And I'll bet you will write something different from what you wrote if you did it the night before. Don't be combative at night. I want to talk, finally, in this hour, about something that I think is really important. What if you have a plan A and it doesn't work out for you? What if the way you thought your career or your life might go doesn't? What if you change your mind or change your goals? Or you've been working in a certain place and you're no longer satisfied or happy there. You're frustrated. You're not compensated well. You're not appreciated for what you do. You're in a rut. You didn't think you'd be in a rut. You thought this is what you'd like to do. Turns out, not so much. Develop a plan B. Even if you never use plan B, have an escape hatch. Think about one. Figure it out. You might even like plan A better if you know there's always a plan B. Let me tell you what I really think here. And my question, so I don't forget it for this hour, is what if plan A doesn't work? What do you do? And what you do is you have a really good plan B. That's my question and answer. If plan A doesn't work out, what do you do? And my answer is that you have a really good plan B. Now, I mentioned in the last hour about Sheryl Sandberg, who was the lady whose husband passed away in an unfortunate accident on vacation, fell off a treadmill, hit himself.